6.4 in one of the geologically most dangerous regions of the world, a war zone, how experts are calling it. And if that was all, not only a subduction zone, many tectonic plates and fault lines, landslides trigger dangerous tsunamis that reach the shore in only 10 minutes. And they have done so in the past. And if that wasn't enough, there's another problem that comes with this earthquake. Of particular interest is that the epicenter of this earthquake was located between two well-known island volcanoes. The volcano is an island, Kadova and Manam. While Kadova remained largely quiet after its eruptive phase in 2018, the other guy, Manam, has shown significantly higher activity in recent years already. So Manam's last strong paroxysmal eruptions occurred only about 2 years ago. The volcano is considered, who's surprised, one of the most dangerous ones in Papua New Guinea and has repeatedly led to evacuations in the past, all located on the Pacific Ring of Fire. So it cannot be ruled out that the current earthquake could trigger a reactivation of magmatic processes of Manam. But not only that, it could be the precursor to a bigger earthquake as well, megathrust. An explanation and a layout of the existing danger in this video. Magnitude 6.4 in Papua New Guinea. What did just happen? Why did it happen? And what comes next? That's the big question, guys. So Papua New Guinea is a land of staggering beauty, but devastating power. On May 20th, 2025, that power has revealed itself once again. A magnitude 6.4 earthquake struck the Bismarck Sea just off the northern coast of Papua New Guinea. It has shaken towns, it has jolted people from their sleep, and it has definitely reignited fears in one of the most seismically volatile regions on Earth. So every rattle shakes you up and you think, whoa, is this something super big? At first, it was thought to be very shallow, super dangerous, tsunami risk, panic all over the place. But hours later, seismologists corrected the depth to a deeper depth, 70 kilometers. Deeper, yes, but not harmless, guys. That is what I really want to stress. So let's unpack in this video what happened, what caused it, how many people felt it, what dangers may still lie ahead. That's the most important part. And the deeper story behind Papua New Guinea's restless crust, because there's a reason for that. And that is very, very powerful. The earthquake struck early morning in Papua New Guinea, about 81 kilometers northeast of Angorem in the East Sepik province. That's what this area is called. So that's right in the zone where two giants are wreaking havoc. That is the Pacific plate and the Australian plate are meeting each other. Plus several smaller microplates are locked in a geological tug of war. That's what you could call it. So 49.7 miles off the coast. Initially, they reported the quake at a very shallow depth and enough to cause landslides, tsunamis, and widespread destruction. But then updated models placed it much deeper, which was better in this case. At a depth of 43.5 miles, 70 kilometers. Why does that matter, guys? This really, really matters. And that's very, very crucial here because deep quakes tend to dissipate their energy before they're reaching the surface where the population is densely populated and where all the people live. So, but they often shake a wider region then. And they usually happen along subducting slabs of oceanic crust, one plate diving beneath one another, which is the case here. And that's exactly why this is such a scary area. Subduction zones, never good. They have the potential to produce really, really bad ones. The Megathrust 9 point something plus earthquake on the west coast of the US and Canada, Japan. So it's not good. And of course, Papua New Guinea is also part of the infamous Ring of Fire, a 24,855 mile or 40,000 kilometer long horseshoe of subduction zones encircling the Pacific Ocean, and they all can send tsunamis across it. It's really, really quite a dangerous region. And especially the Bismarck Sea is one of the most tectonically active complex on the planet. That sounds scary. Thankfully here, the Cascadia Fault is not that active, produces a megathrust earthquake every several hundred years. So what is happening there, guys? We really have to imagining this. The Australian plate, it's the Australians, it's your fault. No, I'm just kidding. The Australian plate is pushing northward and it's plunging beneath the South Bismarck plate. But it's not a simple one-directional process. That's the problem. There's like dozens of microplates like the Solomon Sea plate, the Woodlark plate, and the Trobriand plate. They're all jamming together in this area, cracking, grinding, overlapping. So this is a nightmare. I would call this a tectonic nightmare. So yeah, we can say for the people who live there, unfortunately, it's a geological war zone. And earthquakes are the daily aftershocks of that war. That's what we could say. And to better understand the danger that is lurking there, let's look back a little bit. In 1998, a magnitude 7.0 quake offshore near Aitape triggered a massive undersea landslide. These landslides are very, very dangerous because you don't recognize that this is happening right away. And the landslide has displaced enough water to create a tsunami that struck the coast within only 10 minutes, has ended over 2,100 people. And it was one of the deadliest tsunami events in modern history. We all remember what came after that, 2004. And that tsunami in 1998, it came from an earthquake smaller than many earthquakes that we hear about in the news. So when a quake strikes this region, even a 6.4, people are scared. They're paying attention because they fear that the 6.4 might have triggered something else. So the 6.4 magnitude quake, who felt it? Despite its depth, it was reportedly felt across much of northern Papua New Guinea from Wewak to Madang. The shaking lasted for around 10 seconds in many places, definitely enough time to wake people up, rattle homes, and spark big fears of something worse, because they know that this can happen. According to data from citizen seismology networks that have seismometers and the USGS, there's these "Did you feel it?" reports on the USGS website. The earthquake was felt by over 200,000 people, and some experiencing moderate to strong shaking. And in remote coastal villages, residents reportedly ran out of their homes, waited outside until the earth quieted. They were afraid their homes might collapse. They don't have the most technically advanced buildings that are restructured or up to code. So, but the question that we have now, I'm sure you have, at least I do, guys, let me know. Was this quake a loner? Was it alone? There's other reports that almost 1 million people were influenced by this quake. You have to understand the 200,000 people were the ones that registered on the USGS site and says, click, yes, I felt it. The timeline of the initial reports was showing 2 quakes. So what was it? Some early reports have suggested a second quake, possibly magnitude 6.3, that struck earlier the same day near Wewak. And several automated networks briefly showed seismic activity in the region, prompting speculation about like a twin event, like two large quakes occurring close in time and location. This is definitely possible, and it's happening. But then the US Geological Survey, after reviewing the data, has confirmed only one major earthquake on May 20th. So the supposed earlier event may have been a mislocated tremor, like a processing glitch in the system, or even an echo from the deep seismic structure of the subducting slab. Who knows? But still, in a region this active, like we called it, like geological war, that kind of confusion is common. And it definitely highlights to me how dynamic and uncertain this tectonic zone really is. So what does this earthquake tell us about the recent geological stress in this region? That is the big question mark. So the focal mechanism, the energy released from this quake, suggests that it was an, how it's called, intraslab event. So that means that the earthquake didn't occur along the main plate boundary, but rather within the descending Australian plate as it bends and breaks under enormous pressure. So these kind of quakes are common in Papua New Guinea. They're often at a depth between 37 miles and 62 miles. So that's roughly 6,200 kilometers of depth. But they're not always predictable. I mean, earthquakes are not predictable at all. With the measuring instruments of the scientists, but the ones that are coming from another channel who's so nice to promote my channel on his channel, that guy is special. That is something else. And the scary thing about these quakes is that history shows us they have been known to precede larger, shallower quakes along nearby faults. So the risk now is, will we in a short time frame see something even bigger? 6.4 is quite big already. The good news is, so far what scientists think is this event likely did not increase stress on the New Britain Trench, because that guy, we better leave that alone. We don't want this thing to wake up, because that one is one of the most dangerous nearby megathrust zones. And if you hear the name megathrust, your alarm bells should ring, because there we're talking about the big magnitudes. So is there bad news? Well, there is bad news, if you want to call it that, because this is another hint, the system telling us as a reminder that Papua New Guinea is far from stable. Some of the most active fault zones in this region include the Ramu-Makam fault system, a deadly inland fault network that has ruptured multiple times, unfortunately, in the last century. Then we have they have all nice names, but they're not nice. The Bewani-Torricelli fault zone. Are the Italians at work here? I don't know. It's running near the quake's epicenter. So that's one to pay attention to. And then the New Guinea thrust belt, responsible for devastating quakes in the highlands. So many there. Again, geological war or tectonic war, plate war. So these faults, combine them with the offshore subduction zones like the New Britain Trench. They form something like, if you look at it, looks like a spider web of seismic threats and tsunami threats and stuff like this. Many of them are capable of producing magnitude 7 and higher earthquakes. In fact, just 3 years ago in 2022, a magnitude 7.6 quake in the Morobe province has caused landslides and has ended 21 people. It was another intra-slab event, much like this one that we've just seen. And it was loud, which adds what I find scary. Locals in the affected area described hearing a rumble like thunder before the shaking began. Many thought a plane had crashed or something like this, a bomb thrown. One woman in Angoram has told a local radio station, the windows rattled, the ground felt like it was rolling. We ran outside, we didn't know if the sea would come, she means tsunami. Because there in this area, the fear of tsunamis is ingrained in many coastal communities. Even when there is no official warning, the memories of 1998 linger. It's a trauma that is passed down generations. And yet the people endure. What choice do they have? Year after year, quake after quake, hoping for the best, hoping that it's not getting bigger. So this time, the 6.4, was there a tsunami threat? The Philippine Institute of Volcanology and Seismology quickly confirmed, nope. The earthquake's depth and mechanism made a tsunami unlikely. There was no significant vertical displacement on the seafloor because of the quake, no surge of water. Displacement, have you seen my video where it's amazing. I always say it's groundbreaking, and then you guys were nagging me, said, well, it's really groundbreaking. I didn't notice this when I said it. But this is a video you have to watch all areas of the frame and you discover something new. And in one area of the frame, you see that the land is moving. That's the first time this was caught on surveillance camera. And it's moving here. You see it. There's the ground cracking. A tower is falling. There's so much. This video is amazing. That's why it's going so viral right now. You guys have to see this. I'll put it in the end screen. But again, here in Papua New Guinea, remember, it's important to keep this in mind. It's not always the quake itself that has caused these devastating tsunamis. It was the underwater landslides. And that's hard to predict whether it has triggered one or not. Those are really way harder to detect in real time. Papua New Guinea does have seismic monitoring, but the coverage is limited compared to more developed nations, which increases the risk that they might not catch one in time. So much of the real-time data that we have comes from international networks and their satellite modeling. USGS, for example. So there's efforts underway to improve early warning systems, tsunami buoys, and education programs. I mean, this is such a dangerous area. They need tsunami warning systems. But funding and infrastructure remain challenges in many rural areas, sadly. So this earthquake was another test run, a warning shot, and perhaps a preview, if it's a precursor. And the scary part is too, I have reported about this. This event is just one of many in a pattern of increased seismicity around the Pacific Ring of Fire this year, plus all the volcanoes. From Japan to Tonga, Chile to California, there's been a global uptick in intermediate depth earthquakes in recent months. And watch the video in the end screen, 7,200 tiny earthquakes in one place in just 2 days at the Cascadia Fault. It's a regular event, but it's very, very strong this time. So could the Papua New Guinea quake trigger other quakes? Because there's so many plates and boundaries and fracture zone. It is possible. And we have to say, at the Pacific Ring of Fire, this increased activity, some of it is coincidence, but it may also reflect shifting strain along these interconnected boundaries. If you move one, you might trigger the next one. So it's possible that this Papua New Guinea quake could trigger something else in nearby regions like the Solomon Islands, for example, or even across the Bismarck Sea. But for now, As always, scientists are saying, we're watching this carefully. But many scientists are saying, well, monitoring does not guarantee safety. We're just monitoring that a disaster just happened, right? So what happens next? Well, in the short term, we can expect aftershocks, perhaps several in the magnitude of 4 to 5 range. The odds of a larger follow-up quake in the next 48 hours are estimated at around 5 to 10%. In the long term, the pressure in this region remains. The earthquakes will continue, sometimes silent and deep, other times roaring, shallow, and devastating. This is a reality. But knowledge is power, preparation is power, and by understanding the forces that are shaping this land, we can prepare for what lies ahead for all of you that live in dangerous zones like this. And most of us live in stuff like this. So Papua New Guinea is not just a place of earthquakes, it's also a place of resilience, like Japan, like most of these places, but they especially because they have it so often. And every tremor for them is a reminder. Beneath the beauty of the land lies the power, and beneath the power lies the stories that we must tell. Guys, I hope you liked this video and you found it informative. If you did, please give it a like, share it with your friends, become a subscriber if you want to hear more of that stuff from me. And if you want to support the channel, guys, check out my buymeacoffee.com/silky site. I just figured out if I can answer your messages there with a 30-second video message, and then you can video me back so we can actually see each other, and then I can video you back again. So it's a cool feature that they have added. So check this out. The link is in the description of this video. I hope to see you soon. Stay prepared. Stay safe as always, guys. Bye.